Hi, it's me, Tommy, and before we get started on this week's podcast episode, I just want to say thank you so much. I'm so grateful for you listening to this podcast, for sharing the podcast, for helping our guests out and supporting them. But also, I want to let you know about blendingthefamily.com, where you will find more information, such as my coaching program. So if you go to the website, you'll see something called Moving You Forward. Again, that's my coaching program. If you have an event coming up, your group or organization needs a speaker, you can find information about my speaking also on blendingthefamily.com. So I just want to take this time to once again say thank you for listening, for supporting the podcast, but also I'm not just a pretty face behind the microphone week after week. Again, I have a coaching program, I do speaking events, and I want to let you know about those. All right? Thank you so much. Now, let's listen to this week's podcast episode. Welcome to another edition of the podcast known as Blending the Family. I am your host, Tommy Maloney. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, are you wearing a mask? Did you wash your hands? I'm not wearing a mask. Well, not now. Not here. Because it would be like, hey, this is me, Tommy. I'm wearing a mask. I'm not wearing a mask right now. But I've been better. I will admit it. I have been better, okay? How are you? You doing good? Is this the first time you're listening to this podcast? Well, thank you for coming by. If you're a regular listener, hugs. Oh, sorry. See, can't even do that right now. No hugs. Gotta wear a mask. Make sure we're washing our hands. 6 feet. Even though articles are saying 6 feet isn't enough, you know what? Here's my advice. Okay, here's my advice. We can't keep listening to the news. All right, I'm gonna get very little political. We can't keep listening to the news because every moment, every hour, every day is different. Something's different. You know, I don't know. I'm just happy to be above ground. I am just thrilled you are above ground. I want to keep a positive perspective on what's going on because we need more positivity. We need to be positive. As I'm looking outside the window, it's sunny out, blue skies. I will be going for a walk in a little bit. I just, do you feel that way? Do you feel that if you don't have some positive thoughts in your mind that you'll just go stir crazy? And hold on, positive note. Here's a positive note. We had my wife's nephew, Jonathan. His dog Louie was here. If you follow me on the Instagram, Blending Family, you would have seen a picture of several dogs that I've ran into throughout a short period of life or recent. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but Louie was in one of those pictures. We've had Louie here this week because my wife Ann, her nephew Jonathan, and his fiance Haley just had a baby boy named William. Healthy. He is cute. I will admit, this is a cute baby. He's a smiley baby. I like those kind of babies. And even though his name is William, we call him Liam. I love it. This is awesome. I was bummed that Louis was here all week, and now Louis is headed back to his home to hang out with Liam and Jonathan and Haley. But we are looking this weekend to possibly get a puppy. I said it. We might be getting a puppy. It's been, at the time of this recording, it's been about 15 months since the passing of our chocolate lab Duke. And I don't know how. Let's see, that was in March. trying to think because I don't think I've ever talked about this, but when I was married the first time, we had a Australian Shepherd named Kiwi, and Kiwi was my dog. Kiwi and I went everywhere together. I took her to a school. What do you call? I can't even think what you call it. You're probably screaming at me right now. Obedience. Thank you. Thank you. Obedience class. And she was, oh my God. If you've ever had an Australian Shepherd, they're so smart. So smart. And the cool thing about Kiwi was she was a mother hen to my son Connor, where if he was outside playing, Kiwi was in the home office there, looked outside the cul-de-sac, and Kiwi would just have an eye on Connor, and she was just a great dog. But she passed away too, and it hurt because I wasn't a part of her final going to doggy heaven. When we had Duke for his final day of when he went to peace, we did hospice for Duke, and what that meant was the vet came to the house, and I've been trying to get. Let me give a shout out to them, and they might have places similar to what we had, which was called Lap of Love. You know what? I better put that. I'm gonna put that in the show notes. Let me put that. Lap of Love. And I've been trying to get them onto the podcast because I think they would be great to talk about. But the vet came out to the house, took care of everything, took Duke with her, and within less than a week we had a box with Duke's name on it. We had on my key ring I have Duke's doggy tag, and they sent that, and before they put the shots in him, when she shaved his fur, we have that little piece of the fur. We have a dog print, so it was beautiful. And my wife actually asked if her former spouse wanted to come to the house because they had Duke since he was a puppy, and I thought that was a kind gesture. My wife is more mature when it comes to the co-parenting and that. And I believe deep down I wish my former spouse had asked me if I wanted to be there. And yes, I would have wanted to be there. I don't know if Kiwi would have remembered me, but yeah. Now I'm bumming you out. I'm bumming me out. But on a positive note, we have a new family member with Liam. We're gonna be looking at possibly getting a new puppy this weekend. Positive things. Positive things. Okay. Again, I hope you're doing well. Wearing a mask, distancing, not listening to garbage. Matter of fact, I've just been devouring books. I just finished. I don't know how long. It took me a few days. I'm a very slow reader, but I love reading. And my dad and I were going a little bit back and forth on Instagram, where we were talking about books, and he was recommending that I read. He wants me to read some Charles Dickens, and I'm not a fiction reader, but he sent me years ago short stories from Ernest Hemingway, who's one of my writing heroes, and I need to go back and reading that. But I just read The Alchemist. I enjoyed it, but I'm still not sure how I feel about it. I enjoyed reading it, but if you've ever read it, please let me know your thoughts. Tommy at blendingthefamily.com. I would love to know your thoughts of The Alchemist. I'm still reading here and there. Where is it? Think and Grow Rich. And yes, I still have the squeaky chair. I haven't gotten a new chair yet. I'm reading right now. Let me grab some books because I want to talk to you about some books. All right, so reading Think and Grow Rich. Right now, the book The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek. Love him. Find him on all the social platforms. He did a great talk many years ago, Finding Your Why. He has what's the other book? Leaders Eat Last. I haven't read that one. I'll get that one eventually. But his new book, The Infinite Game, very good. If you're a business owner or you work in the corporate world, highly recommend that book. And then my friend Tracy recommended, if you've ever read the book, The Four Languages, Tracy recommended I get How We Love by Maloney and Kay Yurkovich. So I haven't read that yet because, again, I've got The Infinite Game, How We Love, Maloney and Kay Yurkovich will probably be the next book. And that, yeah, so I just been reading. I love reading. But again, unfortunately, I'm a slow reader, and I just want to read and read and read. And that's probably why the flip side is I want to write. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and I came up with another book idea. So I've got 2 more book ideas, and I just need to get this third one done. If you have listened to the podcast, the third book is called My Dad's Advice at 5:04 a.m. It's like 85% done. Right now, I've gone through the first 6 chapters and used the what do you call it? I don't know what to call it. The writing assistant called Grammarly. Shout out to them. So I've been going through that, filtering it through Grammarly and cleaning things up a little bit. Not really editing, just cleaning things up. So the first 6 chapters are done. With that, I have 10, but my plan is 12 chapters of that. So there you go. That's it. All right, let's talk about what are we going to talk about today on the podcast. Thanks for asking. When you go through a divorce and you create what's called the parenting agreement, the parenting plan, which tells you when you have your kids, on what holidays, who's responsible for what, things like that. It really breaks down. Well, something I've really learned, and I'm learning the hard way, and I had a bit of a breakdown where I have not seen my son Connor since Easter. Okay? Why? Okay. So the title of this episode is called How to Be There for Your Kids When You Can't Be There. Okay? How to be there for your kids when you can't be there. And here's what's going on. So Connor, he's 17. He is one of those, I don't know where he gets this from, but he's got a very strong work ethic. Last summer, he had a couple of jobs. One which was being a baseball umpire. He loves sports. Hockey and baseball are his thing. Well, now, where we are in this world, there's a possibility he won't be being a baseball umpire. The other job he had, he worked at a party rental place. So if you needed a bouncy castle or a snow cone maker, a cotton candy machine, where he worked, they had those things to rent. Well, again, there's the possibility that business is going to not do any business. So those 2 jobs right now are put on hold. His concern was making money. Therefore, how is he going to pay for gas for his car, hanging out with his friends, typical teenager things. Well, because he's been in school after Easter was Mother's Day, even though it was supposed to be, it fell on my weekend. Well, in our parenting agreement, that turns out to be her weekend. So that's why I haven't seen my son since Easter. We went from Easter, and now he has gone to, again, having two jobs. So this weekend is supposed to be my weekend, but he's working. And it's really hard to say, no, this is my weekend, you're not going to work. That's not how it is. And every family is different. I know your family is different. The way you do things, perfect. That's great. But when it comes to teenagers and making sure that you instill in them a work ethic that you don't want to kibosh, you have to let them go. You have to let them do it. And so, unfortunately, this means, again, I don't get to see him this weekend. However, what I want to talk about are 3 areas, 3 tips, 3 pieces of advice I want to offer that either I'm doing or will be doing. Okay, so again, how to be there for your kids when you can't be. So number 1, call them. Okay, they're teenagers. Are they going to always answer your call? No. Are they going to return your call? No. But I don't want you to micromanage them. Okay? Do you like to be micromanaged? No. For me, I hate it. That's probably why I don't do well in a office setting, in a cubicle farm. I don't do well in that atmosphere. So your kids probably don't want to be micromanaged, okay? So even though I've called Connor, even though he hasn't returned calls, that's okay, all right? Along those lines, this is still tip 1, advice 1, text. I don't know about your kids, but Connor's more apt to respond to a text, okay? Sometimes, not always. But call them, give them a text message, all right? This one I need to do. I need to quit saying to myself that I just need to do it. And that is, I have really bad handwriting. Horrible handwriting. My grandmother likes to nag me about how bad my handwriting is. That's okay. We have computers. We can type. I need to sit down and type a letter to him and mail it. Okay, not email, mail it. Here's why. If you email it, I personally feel you lose something. You lose, I don't know. I think it's nicer to be able to have, a letter in your hand. Plus, I know you shouldn't do this through the postal service, but you can slip them. Sorry, my phone, email. Plus, you can slip them maybe some cash. You shouldn't do that through the postal service. I know that, but that's why I feel it's beneficial to mail a letter than an email. Okay. So number 1, call them, text them. Number 2, write a letter. All right. Number 3. If your kids have the ability to drive, why not do a car picnic? So here's what I mean by that. I've been asking my former spouse about Connor driving up there where they live, about 45 minutes, maybe to an hour drive one way. One of the things my former wife and I have been emailing is that maybe what Connor can do is during the week drive up here. Or in our family, we only have one car. I don't have a car. got rid of my car a couple years ago. So maybe have Connor come up here, or I can take my wife Ann to work and then borrow the car, and then Connor and I can meet halfway somewhere, and stop at at a place, grab some food, and then just find a place to sit, either in the car, hence a car picnic, or maybe find a spot and just sit and talk. So those are things that I've been thinking about doing. I've already been doing the calling and the texting, but writing the letter, I think, would be nice. I think we need to get back into writing letters to each other, and then the car picnic, or just having a picnic with your kids, and just having those opportunities, helping create those little memories that maybe they'll use with their kids as they get older. So that was one thing, obviously within the parenting plan, you don't think about. You don't think about, well, what happens when, they become teenagers and they do have those jobs, and when those jobs do land when they're working on your weekend. So that's what I want to talk about. How to be there for your kids when you can't be there. Call, text, write them a letter, do a picnic. There you go. All right. That's it. That's the podcast. So thank you for listening. Check out the website, blendingfamily.com. Look at the coaching program, the speaking opportunities that I can offer. And again, subscribe to the podcast. Leave rating and review. That's it. I'm done. As Terry Crews would say, go wash your hands, wear a mask. Just kidding. As Terry Crews would say, your success is my success. But in all sincerity, I am so grateful for you. Please live in gratitude. Share happy thoughts with people, happy stories. I don't want to sound like Pollyanna that, again, rainbows, unicorns, pooping Skittles, but let's be positive as best we can. Thank you. Have a great day. And if you need me, you know where to find me on the social.